Welcome to Revive. We're so glad that you're here. What started as a really small church right around 25 years ago has obviously grown beyond any of our thoughts or dreams or imaginations, and we believe that because of God's Spirit, the best days are yet to come. Right before the pandemic hit in fall of 2019, Hope celebrated our 25th birthday, and right around that same time, we felt led to dream new visions and dreams and ask God what was next. And so we felt like God has led us into 10 goals for 10 years between 2020 and 2030, and we believe that God has something for you as a part of this vision that God is leading us into as a church.
The vision reminds us that our best days are yet to come. Go out and share this good news. Build bridges of harmony. We want to be unity agents. Serve new waves of revival sent to the church by the Holy Spirit. We want to be a Spirit-filled church. Serve our neighbors in need as the hands and feet of Jesus. We want our cities to be positively changed and to be different 10 years from now than they are today because Lutheran Church of Hope is here. Not just city changers, but world changers, because Jesus says go into the whole world. We want to be an intergenerational church. We want to make disciples to go from seeker to believer, to follower, to servant leader, and around again. We want to be kingdom expanders. We want to be legacy makers. We want to love those who are broke, tired, scared, sick, in prison, lost, or wandering, because that's the heart of hope.
Good evening, Revive. Can we stand on our feet? Let's worship God tonight. I just want to say this before we dive into praise and worship. I look forward to Revive every single week. Last week, we were gone. We were at Chris Stapleton's concert. It was amazing. But I really was sad. I really missed this place. And I really miss worshiping with you all. So come on, let's have a smile on our face. Joy in our heart. Let's give God our best praise. Here we go.
When night is falling, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yeah. I decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. Oh, soul. Oh. In every season, you keep repeating promises to me. Yeah, now there's no stopping what you have started until it is complete. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yes, I decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. Oh, oh, oh. Soul. Oh, oh. Sing it out. Echo in my soul. Oh, soul. Oh, when my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yeah, I decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking breaking now like an echo. Your love is holding on, it won't let go. I feel it breaking now like an echo in my soul. One more time, echo in my soul.
Provide the fire, and I'll provide the sacrifice. You provide the Spirit, and I will open up inside. You provide the fire, and I'll provide the sacrifice. You provide the Spirit, and I will open up inside. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me up. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me up. You provide the fire, and I'll provide the sacrifice. You provide the Spirit, oh, and I will open up inside. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me
now continue with the Bible reading.
Tonight's reading comes from Ephesians 5. And further submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. As the scripture says, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. This is a great mystery, but it is an illustration of the way Christ and the church are one. So again I say, each man must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. Here ends the reading.
Revive, would you pray with me? Father God, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for gathering us here safely. And Lord, I pray right now in Jesus' name that you would just fill us up with joy and with peace, with whatever we need tonight, God. Only you can do that. And I pray right now as we receive your word, that we will listen with open hearts and open ears. God, you are so faithful and you're so amazing. So I pray that we would just understand that today, no matter where we may be in our relationship with others. I pray this all in Jesus' name. You may be seated.
Welcome to Revive. This is a place for young adults like you to worship God with people in the same life stage. We're here every single week to become more like Jesus, the true you that God has designed you to be, and how to more lovingly share in the soul-satisfying love of Jesus. Some people come to Revive to meet other young adults. If that's you, make sure you connect with someone on the hospitality team before or after Revive. And also fill out the Revive Connections form. Some people come to Revive looking to share their gifts, like music, prayer, audio-visual, or hospitality. If that's you, fill out the volunteer form. And whatever is happening in your life, we want to know how we can specifically pray for you. Let us know by filling out the Connect and Prayer request form. Beyond this worship service, there are lots of other ways to grow in your faith. Check Revive's social media, announcements, and the weekly e-news for what's going on right now. But honestly, just find us on social media. Our mission at Hope is to reach out to the world around us and share the everlasting love of Jesus Christ. As a church, our goal is to give away half of our income to mission partners and local nonprofits. If you want to give through Revive, we have a really easy text to give option. We've been praying for you, and we don't think it's any accident you're here. Welcome to Revive. Well, hello everyone. My name's Jamie, and I promise I do have other clothes other than this White Hope t-shirt and these black jeans. I just love them so much. So welcome. We're so glad that you're here. My name's Jamie. I'm the Revive Young Adult Minister here at Hope's West Des Moines campus. And there's so many different places that you could be on a Thursday night, and you're here. And I'm excited about it. I know that our team is really excited about it here at Revive, but I also think that God is even more excited about it than we are, because God is really excited that you have decided to be here and to spend time with other people of faith in this place, worshiping God together and growing and serving and all of this good stuff. So thank you so much for being here, and a special hello to all of our people who are watching on the live stream, either on Facebook, YouTube, or our very own streaming platform, Revive.watch. So thank you all so much for being here. If you are brand new, we have a welcome gift for you. We have a fun Revive mug that we'd love to give you if you'd like to take it. It's free for you. It's just our simple thanks for being a Revive visitor here tonight. And so if you want to grab one off the back tables on your way out or your way in next time, you are more than welcome to do that. And the forms that you saw referenced in the video that are connect forms, or forms about like, hey, put me in, coach, I want to volunteer, or I'd like to request prayer, you can find those digital forms in our Instagram bio, or you can find in-person like postcard looking things on the tables in the back. So we have so many different things happening around Hope. It is almost fall kickoff season, and the announcements that I'm about to share with you are the smallest, teensiest slice of the things that are going on around Hope. We have specially curated these announcements just for you because we think that they're some of the things that you might be the most interested in. If none of these appeal to you, know that we have a website so full of other opportunities, not only at this campus, but also across the 5 other campuses and multiple other local sites that we have as well. And so our very first announcement that we're so excited about is Alpha. Alpha is a class here at Hope that thousands have taken here and millions of people have taken worldwide. It's written by a pastor who was previously an atheist, found Jesus, and realized that a lot of people have questions, and he felt like he was the right person to write this class called Alpha. That's a starting point. There's a question every single week, and the questions range from what is the Bible? How did the Bible get to be here? Who is Jesus? Why do bad things happen to good people? What is the Holy Spirit? How do I pray? All sorts of really awesome questions, and Alpha is designed to be in small groups with really awesome discussions that are non-threatening and really chill and relaxed. And so you get to be in a small group with other people. So if you're looking for a class where you get to grow, where you get to meet people, where you get to be in a small group, this literally checks all of the boxes. And it's good not only for people who are new to Christianity and faith, but also for seasoned Christians who might want to be brushing up on the basics or something like that. So it's really, can you tell I'm selling it? It's really an awesome class. How many of you in the room have taken it already? Okay, so many of you. Would you recommend it? Yeah, okay. Alpha's awesome. So if you would like to take Alpha either in person or online or in Spanish, you can go to the Hope website and register there. So that's our first announcement tonight. And our second announcement is about a men's wilderness escape. How many people in the room like the wilderness, like the forest part, not like the desert part, you know? We have our awesome men's ministry here at Hope, and Pastor Andy is leading a bunch of guys up to northern Minnesota to the Boundary Waters. I think it's even north of Grand Marais, which is barely possible. So that is going to be in October. I hear that there is a private island, and you guys get like the whole island as part of the canoe experience. I really want to go, so I don't know, I'll figure out how I can get some gals and just happen to be very close by at the same point in time. Maybe not. Anyway, guys, it's going to be really fun. Also, speaking of guys, I forgot to put the slide in, so there isn't a slide, but we're also starting a Hope Men's Basketball League this fall. So if you want to play basketball with a bunch of guys from Revive or from Hope, make sure that you go to Hope's website and just go to the search and search men's basketball, and it'll pop up. I think it's going to be really fun. I think a couple of Revive guys teams playing against each other would just be like the right kind of energy that Revive needs right now. I think that'd be really fun. So guys, there's a lot of really fun opportunities. Gals, not to be left out, we have an event coming up for you also in October, and this event is specifically about life transitions that women go through. So it's going to be an intergenerational sort of thing. I get to be on the planning team with Pastor Amanda and some of our other awesome staff here. So I would highly encourage you to save this first weekend. If you're a guy or a gal, the guy's trip is the first weekend in October. This gal's event is the first weekend in October. So just mentally mark that in your calendars. And if you want to go on the Hope website, register, or at least just poke around and see what else is there and going on, you are more than welcome to do that. And then we have a Revive book study coming up soon. This Revive Gals group is going to be starting Wednesday, September 8th. They're going to go Wednesdays through October 12th, and they're going to read this book called Famous in Heaven at Home. That's a look at Proverbs chapter 31. And so if you are interested, gals, in a group of people to invest in and to get to know and to read a book together, it's like a short-term thing, so you're not committing your life to these people, because what if they're weird? That's a question that people ask. You can do a short-term sort of thing, and then you have an on-ramp and an exit ramp. I'm literally giving you like all of the behind-the-scenes intel and info about things you could sign up for tonight. It feels right. So anyway, gals, if you want to sign up for this, you can head to the Hope website. You can easily find it by searching on the calendar page or just using our website search or going to the Revive page. And then one of our last announcements tonight is the second to last week of our relationships series. So I'm really excited. Tonight we have some really special guests. Alyssa Conley, who was our worship leader for Revive when I started, which is really fun. And Eric Peyton is also here. Eric and I get to sit next to each other. He's the reason that I'm actually here at Hope. Yeah, we don't sit next to each other. I moved my desk, and now I'm 2 chairs down. So I can still like throw popcorn at him, and it's great. So we're really excited that they're here tonight. Next week, Pastor Jeremy is going to be here with us. And next week, as the last sermon in the whole sermon series, we're going to do a Q&A about relationships. And so if you have a question that you would like answered about relationships, it could be about anything that we've covered in this sermon series or something completely different, feel free to go to either our Instagram bio or our Facebook page, and there is going to be a 1-question survey on there. It gets to be anonymous. If you want to put your name on it, that's great. If you don't want to put your name on it, that's great. And after Revive next week, we will answer the questions that are submitted in addition to being able to answer any questions that you want to ask live via writing them down or whatever. So mark your calendars for next week. I think it's going to be a really fun Q&A. Next week, so tonight we're talking about marriage. Next week we're talking about breakups. So I think what a good way to end a series by talking about the ending of relationships. It's going to be awesome. So make sure that you don't miss Revive next week and the Q&A also. That is all for our announcements. And the other announcement is that we have a birthday here tonight. And he's going to hate that I do this, but our production coordinator here at Revive West Des Moines, Holden Kramer, is spending his birthday here with us. So can we just sing happy birthday to Holden together? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Woo! He hated that, but thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight at Revive, everyone. It's really good to be here with you. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to Revive.
All right. Well, hello, Revive. My name's Eric Peyton. I'm the Connections Coordinator here at Hope.
I'm Alyssa Conley. I am on the worship team here at Hope.
And we, did you already go to the next one? Yes, sorry.
I'm in charge of the
trying to,
clicker.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Nope, go back. We're talking about marriage tonight, like Jamie said, and we're in the, fourth week of this series?
Fourth week, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. And so we're talking about marriage. If you've been here the last couple of weeks, you know that we've gone through single, dating, engaged, and now married. And like Jamie said, next week we're doing breakups or done or whatever it's being called. And so Alyssa and I are married, not to each other, to someone else. We thought that joke was funny.
Thank you for laughing.
Yes, thank you. That's a dad joke. And so we're asked, and I guess are qualified to speak on marriage. But we've got our families up there. My wife, Carla, on the left, and my two boys, McAllister goes by Cal, and the younger one is Rory.
And that's Chad, and then the older one is Jasper, and the little guy is Benji.
And so I'm just super excited to be here at Revive. Revive is a really special place for me personally because I actually met my wife here in this room at Revive. It probably was, what year is it? It's probably 8 years ago-ish. Yeah. And then we were married here on this stage. And so, Revive has just always been a really special place for me. I haven't been back in a while because of the pandemic and having kids at home and all that sort of craziness. But so if you haven't seen me before, or if you have, you've probably been here a while. But super glad to be back. Yeah.
Chad and I did not meet at Revive, but we did get married right here, right before Revive, one lovely evening. We did a destination wedding, but in secret. We got married here before we went to the Bahamas. So Revive is a special place for me. Jamie mentioned earlier that I had the joyful privilege to get to lead worship here. So when Jacob says things like, I missed you guys last week, I love being here with you, I understand what that feels like. And it's so good to get to worship with a community of people that just want to be here. You could do anything on a Thursday, but here you are. So.
Yeah. But marriage is such an important topic, I think, for us to talk about because we're all impacted by marriage. I'm not sure how many people are married here in the room, but you know people who are married. Maybe you want to be married. Your parents are married or whatever it is. And so we all kind of benefit from healthy marriages in our world. And so we wanted to come and speak about how you can have a healthy marriage, what the Bible says about healthy marriages, and why God set this up for us as a gift. And so before we get too much into this, we're going to share, each of us kind of share something we really love about marriage and something that maybe kind of surprised us. And so I'll start. The thing that I really love about marriage is just having my best friend there in the in-between moments, like when you're doing the dishes or you're doing laundry or mowing the lawn or whatever it is, and just having those in-between moments where you have your best friend around you at all times. Some people that may seem awful, but I'm an introvert, and so I need my alone time. But it's still great to have my best friend around. And I was surprised by how different the two of us actually are. And that might not seem all that surprising because people say that opposites attract, but also they also say what likes like.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are alike tend to come together. And my wife and I bonded over a lot of similarities, and so then that's what we kind of clicked over at first. We both went to the University of Nebraska, so I just lost most of the room here because you all hate me, right? And we met here at Hope, so we're the only two Nebraska. We're the only two Huskers here, and so we just gravitated together. But over the years, we've realized really how different we are, and how sometimes it makes things difficult, sometimes it makes things interesting. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute. But
Sometimes it makes them difficult and interesting.
Yes, both and.
Something that I love about getting to be married to Chad is that I know that him and I see one another in a way that no other human ever will. I love knowing that about him, and that he's that for me. We see each other's highs and lows up close and personal, and even when that is super challenging, we still choose to love one another. We are constantly and actively choosing to continue to love one another and pursue one another. We don't do it perfect all the time. I don't think any married person would tell you that they do. We can all be better at relationships, I think, regardless of what your status is. Something that surprised me, I'm very independent. I'm very color red, high achieving. I will do all the things myself because then I know that they get done. All the other type A's are like, yeah, girl. I was surprised by the truth that even really small choices that we make, when we are in partnership with somebody else so closely, they impact them. Every one of them, even if it's mundane. Money is not mundane. Don't hear that. I did not just say that. It can be stuff like money. It can be stuff like where you choose to spend your time and energy, what friends you hang out with, where there's overlap, where there's not, how you pick delegating time with your kids, if that's something that is part of your future. The choices that you make impact your plus one, if you will, or your partner. That was very surprising to me. We thought this clip was hilarious. Should we tell him? Nobody told me. We're going to tell you just what are we doing here? Where am I at? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Marriage is different. Marriage is different than we thought it would be. For me, my biggest assumption that I made when I was not married, or when I was not even seriously dating anybody, was that once I was doing this next thing, that I would never be lonely and that I would never feel insecure. I still feel lonely. I've been married to Chad for 7 years. There are times I still feel lonely, and there are times that I do still feel insecure. I also never thought that getting too comfortable, I'm big air quotes, too comfortable was a thing that could happen, but it can happen. It is really easy to be lazy. Has anybody ever been I'm going to be high achieving today and then just watch Netflix all day? Yeah. We have to work hard at the things that deserve hard work. Like anything worth having, relationships require maintenance. And I just want to tell you a quick analogy about houses. You have a house. If you don't have a house, you have an apartment. You live somewhere. If you never clean the cabinets and never vacuumed your floors or dusted or got up on top of that fan, changed light bulbs, your home would lose value. Similarly with marriage and any partnership or relationship, this could be with you and your little sister. If we don't tend to it, it loses value, and that can result in disconnection and distance. We also have some assumptions about what marriage will and won't be, and we tend to draw those from two places. One, what we saw our parents doing when we were little, or uncles or aunts, or anybody that you were around that was married. Those are people that modeled marriage for you, whether it was a loud experience or not. Anything that we see on social media, too, is a model for us. And then also, what dating our person is we think is a preview of what marriage is like. I know that when Chad and I were first dating, we got dressed up to the nines. We did fun, expensive things, probably wasted some money. Our lives look different now. We try really hard to date and do that well, but it is different. It is different.
Yeah, and when I tried to like put my finger on like what is different about marriage than I thought, I couldn't really nail it down. But I remember after our wedding, after we kind of like started our lives together, I remember thinking just like, now what? Because our whole lives we'd been single and we'd been looking for someone to date. We were dating, and I knew fairly quickly with my wife that I wanted to marry her, and so I was like, okay, focusing on the proposal like a year before it happened, and we'd only dated for a year. So do the math. And so, yeah, I was just looking forward to the next stage constantly. So when we were dating, I was always looking forward to, okay, we're going to get engaged. When we got engaged, we were engaged for a year, and then got married. And then what's next? Of course, like a lot of people want to have kids and stuff, but I don't know. I guess I compartmentalized that in my brain, that there was my work goals, my relational goals, parenting goals, and those almost were separate, even though they have to overlap somehow. But there was just this awkward, like, okay, now what are we doing? We're just like doing this for the rest of our life, you know? And so it just felt different for me. And I always wanted to be married. I figured that's just what I wanted to do. I'm not sure I ever realized that I would convince a girl to actually marry me. So I don't think I got that far in my brain. You know, like once we're married, this is what it's going to look like. So that's what was a little bit different for me for marriage when I was first married, and kind of still today. But so we have these misconceptions about marriage, and I think a lot of us do. And that SNL clip, I think, is just so perfect because good comedy kind of reveals some truth about humans, about the world, about the way we think, and everyone kind of knows what they're getting at. And some of it's positive, some of it's negative, most of it's negative.
Yeah.
But it still reveals something about the way people think about marriage. And so we have these, what I like to call false narratives. They're incorrect stories that we tell ourselves about what marriage will be like or what marriage should be like. And then that impacts how we live our life out in that area of our life. Does that make sense? So they're misconceptions that we have about marriage. And I think of things as kind of two ditches. So we can go two different ways with marriage, with anything really. And we can make it an idol or we can make it a curse. And that's helpful for really any relationship that you have, but it's kind of magnified in marriage because you're living in such close proximity to each other. And so the first misconception that we've got, do we have it up there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at like, it's delayed or something. Right. No one's fault.
I'm
my
on
fault.
it.
I'm looking there when it should be there. I'm sorry. But marriage will solve whatever difficulties or problems that you currently have. Would be kind of making marriage into an idol, that it's going to solve everything. My wife or husband or whatever, marriage is going to be the savior of whatever problems I have. Or we could take it as that marriage will only create more problems. You kind of hear that in Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn's voice, that they're kind of joking that it's creating quite a few problems in their life. And I think the first one was kind of the main struggle for me, because when I was single, and still to this day, I struggle with some anxiety and a little bit of depression and that sort of stuff, and pride and unforgiveness and judgmentalism and all sorts of stuff. And I remember just not being super happy with my life as a single person and thinking, well, if I can just get married, that'll make me happy. That'll kind of take those problems away. And that's not to say that, I mean, yes, we all do have those sorts of issues. The Bible says that all have fallen short. That's not an indictment on anyone. But that's a lot of pressure to put on marriage or a spouse to cure all those things. But God really wants us to be healed of those things. That's one of the things that he does for us, is he heals us, he makes us whole, he makes us new. And so all those trust issues, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, God wants us to be healed, and marriage isn't necessarily going to be the thing that fixes that. It's not going to make us completely happy in that way. But in isolation, and I'm not talking just as a single person, but you can be isolated as a married person as well. In isolation, it's so easy to hide from those things and not let them be healed, that in marriage, a lot of times, I like to say that marriage is kind of a revealer. It reveals a lot about yourself and each other, because you're constantly like looking at each other and being like, why do you do that? What? And not in like an accusatory way, but you look at other people because you spend so much time with them and think, that's curious. I wouldn't do it that way. And sometimes that sounds a little accusatory.
That's a kind way to say that. That's curious.
That's curious, yeah. Why do you do that? So when we say like marriage will solve or marriage will create more problems, a lot of it just depends on how you look at it. Is what is a problem? What is a disagreement that you have, or an offense that you have with someone? A good friend of ours, who speaks here at Revive. I'm not sure the last time he did. Ryan Hervey. He likes to say, "Offend the mind to reveal the heart." And so a lot of times when we bump into people in the world, in whatever relationship we have, it reveals, and we're offended by them. It reveals more about ourselves than it does them. Right? And so when my wife and I, when we kind of look at each other and say like, why do you do that? And we're slightly offended, we like to use the terminology of, I feel some heat. Like when you do that, I feel some heat on that. That normally reveals something about me that God wants to work within me to be healed of. And so that ends up being an incredible blessing in my mind, that marriage helps conform us into the image of Christ, which is the goal that we want to happen in our life, in our Christian walk, is to grow into full maturity in our faith. And marriage is the blessing that allows us to, one of the blessings that allows us to continue walking with the Lord in that way. And actually, there's a really interesting passage in Hebrews 12 that talks about now that we're surrounded by this huge cloud of witnesses. And it's kind of a weird phrasing for modern audience to say we're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. If you look around this room, this would be a cloud of witnesses. But the original audience would know that in the Old Testament, God frequently showed up in a cloud, and he spoke through a cloud. And so when the author of Hebrews is saying, we're now surrounded by a huge cloud of witnesses, so we can strip off all the things that are slowing us down in our walk with God. What he's saying is that people are the vehicle that God uses to speak God's voice into our life. And so if we're open to it, especially in marriage, if we're open to hearing God's voice and not being offended and listening to what God has to say, a lot of times that's where we can hear God's voice and we can be conformed into Christ's image through marriage. So,
the next one we'll touch on can be viewed as a positive or a negative. You and your spouse complete one another. You are like one now and not two. This little Venn diagram right here. So like imagine that you are a circle and a person that you are in relationship is a circle. Now imagine that you marry this person and that little overlap, it apparently has a word, mandorla. I literally didn't know that till today, but that's what the little almond-shaped thing is called in the middle. And that space in marriage is sacred. The point, so when you get married, look, I know like not everybody's looking at me straight on, but we are like this, not like this. Like you don't become one circle. You are still a self. There's just a little bit of overlap, and that space is holy. We're complete, a whole person, regardless of our relationship status, is the point of that. We can be clear on and embrace our own unique identity while also encouraging our partner in their individuality. And I think that if we don't encourage this from the people that we are partnering with in relationship, our partners could rebel and look for spaces in which they feel free and find freedom. So we want to be safe for them to grow and learn and develop. And I know this is really groundbreaking, but we are different today than we will be in 5 years, than we will be in 50 years. Similarly, the people that we do a relationship with will be different next week. Okay, maybe not. But as we look ahead, we change and we grow and we evolve, and it's good. I think it's really good. So building the people up around us to do that and encouraging that, right out of Thessalonians 5, encourage each other and build each other up. That is just a good thing for us to do all the time. Encourage people. So that little holy space in the middle there, that is something new. When you enter in that partnership with someone, that is something new, and that is a sacred space. And what I love about like me being a circle is that before anything else, my identity is not in any status. It is the fact that I am a child of the King, of the Father. That is who we are. That is who our Creator is. Genesis 1:27. So God created human beings in His image. Yay, that is good news. The Bible is good. The other thing that I want to say when we think about the Trinity, Father, Spirit, Son, if you wanted to, you could do 3 little things, right? And that little part in the middle, like it's all one thing, but it's 3 parts. It's a mystery. It's kind of wild, but it's really cool. And I love that about God, is that we can be like, what? Similarly, marriage is also a mystery. And that little part where there's overlap, yes, two separate things, but there's overlap in it is also one. So that's what we enter into if we enter into marriage.
The next one is that marriage will be easy and perfect, or that marriage will be hard and impossible. And you probably maybe see yourself somewhere in between those, obviously. I think I was more on the top one, that marriage would be easy, and sometimes the truth is often somewhere in the middle, right? It's neither of these. These are the 2 ditches that we talk about. But we see in movies and on social media, everyone's perfect relationship, and then we think like that's what it's going to be like. And then on the other hand, we also hear this stat all over that 50% of marriages end in divorce. So why even try? Because it's going to be hard and it's going to be impossible, and no one can actually do it. And so this is. Stay with me on this kind of tangent here, but I find this really interesting that, so in Genesis 1, God creates man and woman, He puts them in the garden, and everything there is perfect. And then He gives them the first command, and that is, not the first commandment, the first command in the Bible is to be fruitful and multiply, to make babies, right? That's the first command in the Bible. And then He puts them in the garden, right, and says, do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or you will die. And then the serpent comes along and says, did God say that you will actually die? And they say, yeah, you will. And then the serpent says, no, you won't actually die. And then they eat of the tree, right? What happens? They eat of the tree, and do they die? No. So was God lying? Was the serpent right? No. I think what they're talking about there is that there's this symbolism in this story as we read it. And we don't have to take it all literal, all symbolic, but when God says, be fruitful and multiply at the beginning to create life within the context of marriage, he's talking about make children, but He's also talking about much more, because He's not talking about just that they were going to eat of the fruit and then they were just going to drop dead. They're going to be separated from God, because then they're expelled from the garden after that. And so this life and this death has kind of a dual meaning to it, that it's both physical and also spiritual. And sometimes the spiritual part of it is actually a little bit more the focus of what the story is talking about. And so marriage is often a symbol of what the kingdom of God is supposed to be like, and what our goal here is. And in marriage, and actually for people who are not married, the goal is to be fruitful and multiply, to create life where there is death. And the good news about marriage is that we get this partner, with this calling with this partner, this teammate, to go and to be fruitful and multiply where we see death in the world, where we see that there is not life, where there's disease, where there's sickness, where there's pain, where there's trauma, where there's all these different things, and then we can go and be someone who brings life to the world. And so this first command, on the surface you might think like, oh, that's just for married people, right? Because it's create babies, right? But there's a much deeper meaning to that, I think, in that our calling as Christians everywhere is to go and be fruitful and multiply in whatever kind of life, wherever we see that there is not life present.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one we'll touch on, our spouse will always know everything we want or need. So that is very assumptive. And it's very easy to be assumptive because you're like, you should already know all this stuff, right? That's why we got married. And like I'm being a little like jovial about it, but like legit, I sometimes do that. If I don't communicate with my partner, he does not know what I need or what I want or what will satisfy me. Our partner is not God. God is God. I can't imagine if Chad like gave me that kind of authority. That is so much pressure, and I surely would disappoint him because I'm not good enough. God is good enough. Communicating well means you're vulnerable even when it's super hard and really uncomfortable. Handling conflict well and with kindness, even when that is super hard too. So conflict is conflict. We've navigated it. If you haven't, you probably will at some point in your life. Teach me how you haven't yet. I would love to know. Assume positive intent. That is the one thing that you can assume. Assume that someone never means to like hurt you. Communicate with them, talk with them about it, all the while building one another up. Sometimes I'm the difficult person. Sometimes you will be the difficult person. Sometimes Eric is the difficult person. Own it. Let's just own it. Know that we're not perfect. Let God be perfect and press into his goodness and the peace that he brings. I also want to talk about a book called The 5 Love Languages really quick. It's by a guy named Gary Chapman. Have you guys, raise your hand if you've heard of it ish? Okay, great. There are 5 love languages in which we best receive love from somebody. Acts of service, me mowing the lawn, me doing laundry, me cleaning. Physical touch, literally physical touch. Holding hands, putting your arm around a shoulder, kissing, sexual intimacy. Quality time, which is like undivided attention where you are looking at the person. Not like you're side by side watching a movie, like that's fun. That is not quality time, very intentional. I know we overuse that word, intentional. Receiving gifts, literally someone gives you something that you can hold in your hands, regardless of like value. Like it could be a DIY, my 5-year-old made me a scarf, or it could be my husband bought me an Apple Watch, I don't know. Just anything that is tangible you can touch. And then words of affirmation, verbal compliments. You look really good today. I love it when you pick up the kids so that I don't have to deal with traffic at 4:30 because it makes me lose my mind. Those are nice ways of words of affirmation. He has a number of different versions of this book for married folks, for kids, for teenagers, for single people. Cafe Hope carries all of them. Chad and I just read this book, so we've heard about it off and on for just however long. We read it for the first time together, and I had no idea that my husband's love language was acts of service. You guys, he does all this stuff for like us and around the household all the time, and I'm like, cool, somebody had to do it. That is how he receives love best. How he was trying to show me love was by the way he receives it. I could care less about that. I want physical touch and quality time. I want him to look at me and like hold my hands. That sounds dramatic, but that's like actually what I desire. So cool. But his is acts of service. So now I know that I can best love Chad and show him that by doing stuff that I'm like, this is mundane and we just have to do it. He like cares about it substantially different than me. All that to say, learn about it. It literally applies to everybody. You could know your siblings' love language better and love your family in a different and better way by doing this work. Good news. We were created to be in community and in relationship with one another. Those relationships can have a lot of different titles, whatever your status is. When we communicate well in any of those relationships, we tend to love one another better, kinder, more gracefully, and we are called to love. And so love is something you do for someone else, not something you do for yourself. Okay, Gary, that's the guy that wrote the book. It's so good. Then right out of Luke 6, my translation is the measure that you give will be the measure that you get. And that's not just like you guys should do this because it's good. It's like if we pour out and we're kind and we're generous, it will come back. And that is what God wants for us in relationship with him and in relationship with others.
Marriage is...
I'm supposed to keep talking.
Cool. Okay. I thought so. I just was.
Great, everybody. Marriage is a gift. There's a couple that I know. It's a friend of mine, his parents. They're in their 70s. If you ask them any given day how they do it so well and how they're so amazing and so in love still, they will both tell you, I love God more than I love my partner. They put God above their partner. They do that jointly, and that enables them to, I don't want to say like to deal with each other. That's what I'm going to say. Like in our humanity, in our humanness, the love of God gives us the strength to just do all of the other people's stuff really well. The gift of marriage challenges us. It presses us. There's growth in that pressing. And part of the Bible reading from Ephesians, the very first little bit that flies by so fast but is so important, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Serve one another. Please don't get hung up on that word submit. If you don't like it, fine. Just let it be a thing that you don't have to worry about. Serve one another out of reverence for Christ. Whether it's your roommate or your best friend or your parent or your partner or your spouse or your boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend, serve one another. That verse isn't about a person holding more authority over the other. It's about mutual servitude, mutual status, and shared honor.
Marriage it's not impossible, and it's not easy or impossible, but it really is good, and it's a gift that God's given us. I find it really interesting that Israel, the chosen people of God, were given this name Israel after Jacob. Jacob was renamed Israel, which means one who wrestles with God, one who struggles with the relationship with God, but it's worth it. And so marriage is one of those special relationships. The good news of marriage is that it's a gift from God, and it's meant to be a blessing that's worth some struggle. Just like your relationship with God is worth a little struggle. And it's a glimpse of this kingdom of God that we're invited into. Every single one of us, regardless of our marital status, is invited into this bigger purpose and this bigger calling to create life where there is death. And that means to go and to love our neighbors, but also to love our enemies. And I also love the great commandment. If you think about it, where Jesus says, go and to love your neighbor. We a lot of times we think about love as being a feeling, right? If it's a feeling, that commandment is impossible, right? If it's a feeling, it's impossible. I'm a baseball fan, for example. As you can see, I'm wearing a baseball hat and shirt. I'm a Mariners fan. If you don't know who they are, they're terrible. That's all you got to know. And I can't stand the Yankees, the Astros. I could go on and on because they're all, I have no feelings, positive feelings towards these teams or these humans,
Love
right?
your enemy.
As players. This is an analogy. I'm not perfect, I promise. But if someone came to me and said, no, now love the Yankees, I can't do it. I can't muster up that feeling. But in the commandment, it's a commandment because it's a choice that we can make, and it's a verb that we can do. And it's not the feeling that we have. If you've ever had depression or anxiety like I have, and you've just had someone come to you and just say, just be happy, your life's great. You know how not helpful that is, right? And side note, if you're struggling with something like that, please surround yourself with people that you can open up to, find some help. It's gonna get better, and there are resources, especially here, a care team that is fantastic at that. But it doesn't help to just say, just be happy, just have this feeling, because the commandment is not about a feeling. It's about a choice that we make. And in marriage, when at a wedding, you hear people who come up and make a promise to someone else. And I had known my wife for a little over 2 years when we got married. And we've now been married for 6. I had no idea the person she was going to be today when I said yes to her at our wedding. And so that's kind of like the image that we get of the kingdom of God, is that we choose to love other people even when either we disagree with them or we don't even know who they're going to be the next day, right? They're going to change. Everyone changes and becomes someone new. I don't know who my wife's going to be 50 years from now, but we've both agreed to choose to love each other as Christ has loved the church. And so that's our call as Christians, single or married, to love everyone as Christ loved the church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you just said is right out of John 13:34. So now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other just as I have loved you. You should love each other. Regardless of your relationship status, your call is to love. My call is to love. And I think that that's our call to action tonight. So if you take one thing with you as you leave, I think it should be, my call is to love people. To love well, to love God, to love the people around us, however close or far in relational proximity. Of the same Jesus who died for you and I, Paul writes this in his letter to Philippians, and this is how we're going to close. Why don't you close your eyes? I'll read this over you. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Go and love well. I invite you to stand. We're going to worship together.
You come back and you call it my victory. Yeah. Sing it out. You go. You go before I know that you even gone to win my war. Your love becomes my greatest defense. It leads me from the dry wilderness, and all I did was pray. And all I did was worship, yeah. And all I did was bow down. And all I did was stay still. Oh yeah. And hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better this way. And hallelujah, great defender. So much better way. and seek to find your truth. Your mercy is the shade I'm living. You restore my faith and hope again. And all I did was pray. And all I did was worship. Yeah. And all I did was bow down. Yeah. And all I did was stay still. Yeah, sing it out now. Hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better this way. Yeah, hallelujah, great defender. So much better way. Hallelujah. Yeah, hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better this way. Yeah, hallelujah, great defender. So much better way. Yes, it is. So much better your way. So much better your way, God. 'Cause I know that you find me every time. That you meet me where I'm at. Yes, you do, Jesus. When I thought I lost me, you knew where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love. You picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. And when I thought I lost me, you knew where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love. You picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. Sing it out now. And when I thought I lost me, you knew where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love. And you picked up all my pieces, put me
one of the things that really stands out to me, just mentally go back with me to the SNL clip at the very beginning about some misconceptions about marriage, and like, man, I just didn't know. And I really appreciate you guys, Alyssa and Eric, talking about so many of these different misconceptions. And one of the things that strikes me as we're a young adult ministry, as far as I am aware, at least tonight, filled with a lot of people who aren't married in this room. I have no idea. I can't see who's watching online, but I know at least in person. And one of the things that strikes me is that not only have we just kind of culturally built up a lot of misconceptions about marriage, but one of the things that really struck me tonight was I think we have so many similar misconceptions about our relationship with God. And I want to just reassure you tonight that God has no misconceptions about you. That God has no misconceptions about what it's going to be like to enter into a relationship with you, and then like you just, I don't know, just kind of ghost God for a little bit, or like you just don't really feel it, so you don't like do the things that you're like, well, maybe I feel like I like quote unquote should do some of these things to like invest in my relationship with God. God is not surprised by anything that you do. God is not surprised when you love God. God is not surprised when you don't. God has not entered into a contract with you and then said, I will love you and hold up my end of the bargain if you also hold up your end of the bargain with me. Marriage is not a contract. God's relationship with you is not a contract. It's a covenant. And what a covenant is regardless of whether or not you hold up your end of the bargain, I'm going to hold up mine. Actually, there's no bargain anyway. There's no bargaining. God already did the bargaining with the other team on the cross for you. You belong to God. God's love is for you. It will never end. It will never cease. It will never waver. It will never wonder. It will never have misconceptions about you. And I hope that here tonight, and as you leave this place or go into whatever it is that you have next, whether you're watching this later online or listening later online or whatever, that you know that you walk in God's love. You walk in God's covenant with you. Marriage reflects God's covenant. It doesn't prove God's covenant. It says, I'm entering into this relationship with whoever in the same way that God has entered into this relationship with me. And I know I'm going to mess it up, but God doesn't. So regardless of your relationship status tonight, I want to assure you, reassure you, and give you hope that God is with you. God is for you, and you don't have to do anything to earn God's love or favor or commitment to you. You already have it. You had it yesterday, you had it the day before, and you're going to have it 30 years from now, and you're going to have it beyond death because God exists with you outside of time. I hope that you just soak in that. I hope that you, like, wherever the door of, this is super cliche. I can't believe I'm about to say this. The door of your heart. Like, wherever the door of your heart is open, right? Like, if you're open to God, if you're like, it's kind of cracked open, wherever it is, I hope that you just feel reassured that God's love is for you. Whatever misconceptions maybe you've been bringing to God or to faith or relationships or whatever, that's good news. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much for investing in your relationship with God here with us at Revive. One quick reminder for you as you go is that next week, not only are we wrapping up this relationships series with Pastor Jeremy, who actually started Revive 11 years ago, like next week. Revive is like turning, it's an 11-year-old almost, which is crazy. So maybe we should have birthday cake next week. I don't know. That'd be really fun. And so I hope that you come back next week. And also we have a relationships Q&A that we're doing after Revive next week. So if you have questions about relationships, Jeremy and I are going to do our very best to answer whatever it is that you throw at us. And so please go give us some questions in advance. It's nice to have some relationship prep when you're talking about Q&A, because all y'all have weird things that you have endured in your life, and you might ask some really left field questions, and I want to be able to answer them to the best of our possible ability. So you can bring your questions next week if you forget, but also I would love to see them in advance so we can be super prepared. So go to our Instagram bio. There's a relationships Q&A thing there. We'll also post it on Facebook after Revive tonight, so you can have a week to find it and think about what questions you want to ask. And then please come back next week as we finish up the series talking about relationships that are done or over and breakups, and then talk about relationship Q&A. So thank you so much for being here. May you know that God is with you, God is for you, and God's love for you does not waver, and you can rest in that. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.